for the technology presentation, Mr. Saurav Sinha, Pre-Sales Manager of BMC Software India. Mr. Saurav. Round of applause for him. So I'll request now Mr. Saurav Sinha of BMC Software India for a technology presentation, and then I'll request Mr. Malik to take over the session and moderate it, please. Thank you very much. Welcome, Mr. Sinha. Round of applause for him.
I'm sure not most of you would know what BMC does. BMC is the 10th largest independent software organization in the world. We have more than 10,000 customers worldwide, out of which we have significant presence in India as well. In banking, we have customers like IndusInd and State Bank, etc. We have telecom customers, Vodafone, Airtel. So we have a significant customer base in India. We have been awarded the first ITOM vendor by Gartner for three consecutive years. Regularly being invested in software development, more than $8 billion worth of investment. We were public, went private, and there's a lot of focus around how BMC can help organizations transform digitally, right? In considering the scope of and the agenda of the discussion which we have here, specifically around security, right? We have focused specifically around what BMC offers in this space for banks in the security space, right? If you look at the BMC ecosystem, we partner worldwide with all the key partners like TCS, Wipro, TechM. In India, we partner with Vyom Labs, Column IT, and so on. Vyom Labs is here as well. So we are significantly, these partners help us drive business in India, right? If I was just thinking around what should we talk, right? I have been closely associated with the banking industry more than 10, 12 years, actively working with major public and private sector banks. And then certainly something which hits my mind is demonetization and cashless economy, which Mr. Narendra Modi and Arun Jaitley has been very frequently talking about, and we also as Indians support that very objective of having a transparent cashless system. But if you see, right, how much is our penetration? How much have us as banks been able to leverage technology? If you see these metrics, I pulled it out from an analyst report recently. We have around 470 million customers, out of which only 60 million customers are somehow related to banking, to internet banking, right? Leverage internet, right? They do. This is a combination of branch plus internet banking, which most of these customers fall into. Now, if you see the comparison with UK and USA, they are far ahead. Their internet penetration is far more. But based on where Mr. Narendra Modi and the government is headed, we are certainly going to grow. And if we see what this analyst report talks about, over the next 3-4 years, we are going to add up 173 million customers. So as banks, are we ready? Are we appropriately handling the present load which is coming through internet and other digital platforms? If we see the kind of cyber threats we have, the kind of attacks which comes up every now and then, right? We see them very, very frequently. Are we as users comfortable onboarding a mobile app to perform that NEFT transaction? I think not much. Yes, we want to be there, but yet are we ready is the first question. And how long will it take for us to onboard those 173 million customers who are going to hit our systems in the coming 4 years, 3 years, right? To address this specific space, right, around security, and there's a quote from the National Security Agency in the USA, which talks about that the vulnerabilities, 80% of our attacks are around vulnerabilities which already has a patch. So the patch has been rolled out by the OEM. Because IT has not been able to deploy that patch, we are vulnerable, and security attacks happen around those vulnerabilities, those open holes in our system. If you look at how much time it takes for us to actually address that or patch that critical IT system and mitigate that risk and remove that vulnerability, it is 193 days. So this 193 days is because of broken processes. Broken means non-integrated systems. This is because a complete gap which exists between the security team and the operations team. Yes, the security guy came up, did his report, came up with a CSV, came up with a report which talks about what are the vulnerabilities, what are the top 10 vulnerabilities which that particular organization is facing. But how much of it gets patched? If we really trust this report, it takes 193 days. Means for 200 days, on an average, we are vulnerable for a specific, because we have not deployed that specific patch. So that is the gap which is between people, between processes, and between IT systems. And that is what we call the SecOps gap, right? And this is something which BMC helps reduce with a combination of process, tools, right, and best practices which come with them. If you see if you see the time, right, nearly as of now we have around 1 to 2 FTEs which take care of 1,000 servers. Our systems, our banking systems, you don't have visibility into all IT assets. It takes a lot of time to create that manual change. Approvals are multiple, depends on production, non-production, UAT, which environment, right? So there is delay on both parts. The SecOps guys, the security guys has published the reports. He keeps publishing the same vulnerabilities time and again, but operations takes its own sweet time to process it. In order, if I take this a bit further, right, this is how the flow is now, and the security guys will use a tool like a Nexus or something which is a vulnerability scanning tool that will generate a report, flows into the ops team, which again creates a change order, goes into application teams per environment, and then remediation happen. Either a person which gets in and deploys that specific patch to address that vulnerability, and then the whole loop is closed. And this is what takes time. What BMC does in this case is it automates most of these steps. We are going to scan, we are going to take the report which your vulnerability tool has compiled. We are going to import it into our system, and we are going to automate your approval cycle. We are going to automate the backing up of systems, and we are going to automate the deployment of that patch. This is a solution which can help reduce your times to somewhere around, so based on a customer which recently deployed this solution, from 193 days, we have reduced this to 10 to 45 days. And what we do is we address both the spaces, which is the first space is the vulnerability risk space, which you can see right here. And the second state is compliance, which is driven around regulatory compliance and operational compliances. So all organizations will have a set of hardening policies, will have compliances to be done around PCI, DISA, and so. So those are also taken into account, and then the tool will deploy, take these vulnerabilities, deploy the right patches. At the same time, will highlight which are the systems which are not compliant to PCI, which are not compliant to DISA, and so on. So what the whole solution which BMC helps you do is it helps you provide compliance, it helps you mitigate risk, and also helps you scale and remediate on the fly. It gives you integrated and additional visibility. So at any point of time, in real time, you can see out of 1,000 servers which you are running in production, how much of it is compliant to PCI, how much of it is compliant to a specific operational compliance which you run in production. This is extremely critical for banking industries. There was a recent, one of the latest, very recently, one of our largest public sector banks has a part of this module, and they requested us to deploy the additional part in Singapore, because Singapore government was finding them very regularly because they were non-compliant on a specific set of policies. And very soon, RBI is going to roll out such changes and we will be held very tight on a very small timeline to address that particular gap. So this is what the tool helps you do. It gives you real-time compliances into what your present state is. It gives you compliances around best practice, compliances around dashboards around compliances which you have done. It helps you prioritize. So if the vulnerability scanning tool tells you these are the top 10 vulnerabilities, you can actually plan which one do you want to address first, and then plan which one you want to do next, and then have a roadmap for all of them, rather than just dumping an Excel into the operations team and they doing all change requests and patching the server. The another key benefit, which is very related to the kind of scaling which we are doing, is ability to scale, right? When we onboard those 100 million, 200 million customers in the coming years, how will we scale IT? How will we make sure that our systems are deployed correctly? How will we make sure that they are remediated correctly? So this particular solution will also allow you to scale going forward. Some of our key customers, Fujitsu, Aegon, these are very relevant to us. They were able to reduce their time for provisioning and compliance from 2 months to 5 days, which was a significant benefit. And we did a detailed analysis around how they achieved these numbers. They did 190 days around to address a vulnerability. So there have been significant benefits which existing customers have harvested. That is all from my side. Any questions? I know there's a timer beeping, so I've kept it very short. Any questions which you have?